What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best gaming related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Today on the show, guys, we have a really exciting episode. We got a lot of topics that we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, and we get into all of the segments of the show today, I want to introduce Glassy to the show. And he is, guys, going to introduce himself, give you guys a little bit of some backstory as to what he does here on YouTube, where he's from, and things of that nature. But as I've said in the past, guys, I want to bring more and more personalities and co-stars onto the show because I think it's a really important thing when we're talking about these topics. A lot of times you'll just hear my thoughts and opinions, and I listen to yours, of course, in the comment section down below. But I think it's important for any show to have multiple opinions, multiple different perspectives. And I think having Glassy here is going to be something I'm really excited for you guys to hear what he has to say about each of the topics that we talk about. And I think he's going to give some really awesome perspectives. He's not, of course, shy to, and has been in front of the camera for quite some time, which he will certainly tell you about here right now. So Glassy, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? My name is Glassy. I've been on YouTube for quite some time, as Zero said. With this new channel that I've been doing, probably on for a good 5 or 6 months, but my other channel that I kind of let dwindle away, it's been about 12 years or so. So I've been on YouTube for plenty of times, plenty of years, hours and hours and hours of footage, and I can't even tell you how much data, enough that I've blown up 2 hard drives. Most of my videos come from gaming. I typically have a gaming perspective. I've got a whole system set up, specifically catered towards all high-end AAA titles. I can put all the settings to max. I can do everything I need to do so you can get the highest quality videos and see the highest quality games.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Super excited to have you onto the show. I appreciate you coming on, guys. With that being said, and with that said, I'm really excited to hear what you guys think about having Glassy on the show and see what you guys think about having more and more co-stars on the show. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And with that said, let's get into the show. We've talked on the YouTube channel a lot about GTA 6 and this franchise, guys, from the past to the present and what we could be seeing in the future. And we're getting more and more information really coming in the forms of leaks and a lot of speculation around GTA 6, the excitement and the hope that this is a game that is in the making at this point in time. And so what we're going to be talking about, guys, in this first segment of the show is where we stand with GTA 6. So we're going to break it down, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article written by Tom Senior of PC Gamer, cranking up the rumor mill for GTA 6. Even though GTA 6 hasn't been formally acknowledged as one of Rockstar's next big projects, it seems pretty inevitable that they'll be returning to this series eventually. There's definitely reason to expect a new installment, even if it's far away. Apart from anything else, GTA 5 has been massively successful, selling nearly 110 million copies and crashing the Epic Games Store when it was featured as the weekly freebie. So it should come as no surprise that fans are avidly searching for any GTA related news. So first of all, guys, we talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel, the 2 major things that can make and break a franchise, whether that means a continuation or something that, ends up going into a limbo state or a state of no return, is number 1, sales, guys. I mean, that is obviously at the bottom line is what is the game making? And when you see numbers like in the millions of copies, let alone 110 million copies for GTA 5, that really gives you the indication, yeah, they're definitely at some point or another going to revisit this in some point or capacity. And then, of course, number 2 is going to be the critical reception of a game. So is a game being received well? And overall, GTA 5, guys, and the Grand Theft Auto series as a whole is pretty well received. So I think it's safe to say that it checks both of those boxes. The question, though, lies is when would this game come out? So Rockstar's recent history shows that it has a habit of releasing its bigger games 4 to 5 years apart. If that trend continues, we might expect to see GTA 6 released somewhere around 2022 or 2023, though of course that assumes that Rockstar's next big game is indeed GTA 6. Take-Two's recent quarterly earnings revealing that GTA 5 Online is still a big earner for the company. So it would seem odd if there was another GTA game planned somewhere down the line. And so at the end of the day, guys, I mean, it's really true. I mean, when we think about it, it's hard for me to imagine the game coming out in 2022 simply because Rockstar, sure, they take their time with their games, but they're going to want, when it comes to something like GTA 6, a lot of time to be able to market and promote the title. So I have a hard time believing it would be 2022. I actually even have a hard time believing it may even be 2023. Depends on how far in development they are, if they are indeed working on it at this point in time. So here's what we know, guys. The release date, it's a total mystery right now. Don't expect it for, years. I would say multiple years for sure, guys. The location is the most credible rumors currently point to a Vice City return, and there's a lot of talk about GTA and what it's going to release on. I would say, guys, probably it's going to release on the next-gen consoles unless, obviously, we're still having the issue and the chip shortages with the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 where people aren't able to get it. They're probably then going to potentially release it on the old-gen consoles. So with that being said, though, guys, before we go any further, Glassy, I want to bring you into this because I think it's really important that we kind of talk before we move onwards with like some of the speculation, the rumors and such. What do you think is, going to be like, do you think that GTA 6 is something that is definitely going to happen? Do you think it's something that those over at Rockstar are certainly working on? Or do you think that it's in a limbo state currently, or there's some creative differences, some problems behind the scenes? Is this in a development hell cycle at some point? What are your thoughts as to what you're hearing? I know you've got, a history with Grand Theft Auto, and it's definitely something that you enjoy. Where do you think we are at this point, and when do you think we could see GTA 6, if at all?
So yeah, I've definitely been playing GTA for well over 20 years. I remember whenever I got my first copy in December of 2001, but that's whenever they had a history of creating a game with a story, creating another game with another story, creating another game with another story, and they were all somewhat intertwined with Easter eggs, but they didn't actually have any connectivity with each other whatsoever other than little hints here and there in the story. So apparently back in 2021, they were suggesting that GTA 6 would obviously take place in Miami, which would be a modern-day Vice City. They were going to try to, I guess, mimic the show Narcos from Netflix. So we're going back into the drug trade because what is Miami known for? Lots of coke, lots of drugs, a lot of importation. So they would go back into that, but not be set into the 80s. So it would still be drug-related, very bright colors, nice beach, all the good shebang. But also, there were the rumors of a possible release in October of 2023. There's not, I don't think that that's going to happen because now there's recent gossip that GTA 6 would be potentially releasing in 2025. But as you said, GTA 5, especially GTA Online, is a huge moneymaker for Rockstar right now, especially with the microtransactions. They make it just a little bit more difficult to earn as much money unless you really know how to beat the grinding algorithm and make a couple million per day on your own very easily. But a lot of people are really just spending money on shark cards and wanting to buy them so they can get the latest updates, latest vehicles, latest whatever you can do to destroy somebody else. They're focusing so much on those microtransactions that they have made billions from those alone. And as far as you said for the chip shortage, that's going to persist because there's always been speculations about new GPUs and new consoles and stuff coming out, but even car makers are having a problem building their vehicles. So I think that we'll have chip shortage for quite some time.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I have to agree. Even though it's a sad thing, and it's just kind of the landscape that we're currently in at this point, that we're dealing with the chip shortages and things of that nature. Hopefully, it gets better at some point. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But in regard to what you were talking about, when it comes to the release date and 2024, 2025, an SEC filing by Rockstar's parent company Take-Two from 2020 claims that they're planning a huge spike in advertising spending during the fiscal year 2024 for a total of almost $90 million. Not many games in T2 stable would call in that kind of cash. It's the type of figure you'd expect for their next huge release. A T2 representative has since told Games Industry Biz that the marketing spike is related to third-party companies, not an internal studio like Rockstar. The newest round of rumors about GTA 6's release date, backed by multiple journalists, suggests that a 2023 launch is probably premature. premature. These guesses suggest that 2024-2025 launch is more likely. Part of what might be pushing GTA 6 into further off years is Rockstar's efforts to combat crunch culture, which has plagued its past launches, notably towards the end of development on Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, what's interesting is I've even heard, rumors and speculation that actually they're not working on a GTA 6 whatsoever. They're working on a Red Dead Redemption 3, or potentially, there's a number of other titles out there. Of course, there's fans of all these different, series of, over in the overarching, ecosystem of Rockstar games. Lots of people are talking about Max Payne 4, talking about LA Noire 2. People are talking about Bully 2 still, even though there's been, I don't think that there's a company out there at this point in time that has as much rumors and speculation as that of Rockstar. I mean, every fan base of these different titles that they bring out, there is a mass of speculation. And I really don't even think it's close at this point when it comes to other studios, other development teams. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of speculation that we've had, not only for GTA 6, but other titles from Rockstar. There's a lot of questions. Glassy, I wanted to, get you into this. There's a big question that people are asking: will GTA 6 come to PC? And I feel like this is almost a given that it's going to come to PC. It's not just going to be coming to consoles. A lot of people feel that it's only going to come to consoles. It's not going to be even go to PC. I don't see that even being even a fraction of a possibility. What do you think?
Oh no, it'll definitely come to PC. If you try to cut out any type of a market, PCs make up a huge market, especially now since the Rona, since 2019. People are building computers, buying computers, and everything like that. Especially since it's more difficult to get your hands on a console, they're going to open the market up to PCs, consoles, anywhere that they can push the market. Anywhere there is a market for somebody to buy, they definitely will buy.
There's obviously the other huge thing outside of the release date. The second biggest thing and the biggest question mark around this title that hasn't even been announced at this point is what will the GTA 6 setting be? And so there's been a ton of rampant speculation here. Beyond a release date, the most important thing we want to know is where GTA 6 will be set. Everything flows from Rockstar's choice of city and decade. GTA 5 return to Los Angeles sets us up for a possible return to Vice City. In an interview with Development in 2013, President of Rockstar North, Leslie Benzies, referred again to Rockstar's trifecta of preferred GTA cities. We don't know what GTA 6 will be, but we've got some ideas. We've got about 45 years worth of ideas we want to do. We'll pick the right ones. It comes from the idea first. Where it is going to be set is the first question. Then that defines the missions you're doing things in LA, then in New York or Miami, and those are all going to be different. The map and story get worked up together, and the story is a basic flow of how it works out, so you can layer the mission in. And so, look, I have no issues with returning to Vice City. Part of me, though, even though I would be fine with returning to Vice City, part of me wants to see something different, somewhere that we have not been to in the GTA, kind of realm of things. I know a lot of folks want to go back to Vice City, and I understand why. I totally get it. I just feel like one of the rumors that came out that was really intriguing to me was that GTA 6 would be spread across a multitude of different states, not just in one area like in Vice City. I would be really interested in an idea like that, with Vice City being kind of featured in that sort of setting. Glassy, where would you want, if you had a preference, where would you want GTA 6 to be set?
Yeah, they've definitely had Vice City, which is Miami. They've had San Francisco. They've had New York with Liberty City. The problem is that if you remember back after GTA 2, they had GTA London. We had different games that were put way out there in the world. So, I mean, there was only one, obviously. It went to London, but there's also been speculation about potentially putting it in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, which that seems pretty far-fetched, but it's not off the table. It would be nice if they could try doing something that's not part of the usual places that we've been. The one thing that they could bring back would be San Fierro and Las Venturas, because we lost that in this GTA 5 series. They brought us Los Santos, and they brought us the desert above, and they brought the mountain back, but they forgot all about San Fierro, Las Venturas. unless that became some type of add-on to GTA 5. If they brought like a whole new storyline with a whole new city, they might do that. It kind of sounds like something that they're going to do, because they remastered and quote unquote remastered GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. They still have Vice City Stories, Liberty City Stories, and The Ballad of Gay Tony, GTA 4, The Lost and Damned. They have a lot of games that they're probably going to remaster before they even try to take a look at GTA 6 again. So they might even try to fix those games as well, but they might not use Grove Street Games, which is a company known for porting games to mobile devices.
No, I mean, look, guys, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below about where you would want the setting of GTA 6 to be. I mean, it sounds like, everyone has different ideas as to where they would like to see a GTA 6. I have to say, up to this point, I trust Rockstar to, if they decide to go back to Vice City, or they decided to be spread out, or they decided to be in Africa, Europe, wherever they decided to do it, I trust their judgment on it, because I trust that they're going to make a pretty solid experience. Now, another one is GTA 6 Online, what this is going to look like. And I know you and I, Glassy, had talked about this and kind of what this could potentially do to GTA 5. I mean, are they going to is this something, if they create a GTA 6 Online, is this going to be something that they just integrate into what GTA Online is right now and kind of change the map or change the structure of it? Kind of like what's going on like with Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone, how they're consistently changing and evolving the map itself. GTA 6 Online, are they going to completely create a whole new online experience for that, which would obviously create some issues where it would split the fan base in two. So I don't know if that would be in the best interest. It'll be very interesting to see what they do there. Glassy, do you think that they're going to create a completely separate GTA 6 online experience, or do you think they're going to kind of continue off of what they started with GTA Online from GTA 5 and kind of add things to it? Like, where do you see that going?
So with the online, they've made so much money from GTA 5 Online. I'm not sure if they'd try to integrate the GTA 5 and GTA 6 Online together. They might create two separate entities. They might still keep GTA 5 Online, but try to encourage users to come to GTA 6. If anything, if you start a new account with GTA 5, it has you coming out of lockup, you're holding your name in the bars and the pictures and everything like that, and then you start your criminal career on GTA 5. There might be some type of situation like that where they move over to GTA 6. They might give you some of your cash, some of your vehicles, but they probably won't give you everything you worked up for, because then you'd have an advantage over new players that are coming into GTA 6. But they might also, and I'm reading the latest gossip from a Rockstar job listing, is that they're hinting at an incredible detail of, quote, large-scale destruction for GTA 6. I wouldn't doubt it if they tried to kill the GTA 5 servers and create a large destruction, kind of like what they do for Warzone. Between seasons they have this large destruction, they go back in time or they move forward. It's a possibility that they might try to destroy the GTA 5 landscape to create a GTA 6 one.
That will be very interesting to see how they handle that, because I think that in all has been the main reason why GTA 5 has stayed alive and well all these years, is because of GTA Online. I mean, really, people are coming back and back, and we always talk about multiplayer experiences here on the YouTube channel about, when you have a multiplayer experience, it brings people back to the experience over and over again. If you just have a single player story, you'll play it maybe once or twice, and then you'll move on to other games. This is something that brings you back to that experience, and it'll be very interesting to see how Rockstar handles that. The last thing, though, guys, is Rockstar updated the GTA6.com domain in March of 2020. Some Reddit users noticed that the GTA6.com domain registered to Rockstar's parent Take-Two no longer redirects to Rockstar's own site. It now returns an error instead. Naturally, folks speculated that this meant Rockstar was getting ready to make use of the dormant web address, potentially with some kind of reveal. Nothing has come of it yet over a year later, however. So with that being said, guys, look, at the end of the day, GTA 6, I believe that it is coming at some point or another. Glassy, do you think that this is a title that is coming at some point, or do you think that this is something that's just going to keep spinning its wheels over the years?
At the point right now, GTA 5, they are milking that cow dry. It is a cash cow for them, and as long as they are making tons of money from it and the charts are still going up, if they start to stagnate financially and then they start if they start seeing a decline in income and revenue, they might start considering pushing out there. If they are making GTA 6, it is heavily under wraps and it is definitely kept secret. We do have some leakers that are well known for having actual content come out, but GTA 6 I think is going to be still 5 to 10 years away.
Well, with that being said, guys, those are two guys' opinions on all of this. What do you guys think, though? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more GTA 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel quite a bit, guys, about Halo Infinite, this title, guys. Now that we have, obviously, our hands on the multiplayer experience, even though, you know, it's early access to the multiplayer and such, I gotta tell you, what an awesome experience. Now, obviously, guys, it's been a number of years that I've been away from the Halo and the Halo universe as a whole. But I will say this, even though I get on there and it feels like you've got all of these, you know, kids that are putting, you know, hours upon hours into it so far, and it makes it a little bit difficult, obviously. And there's things that, you know, I feel that 343 has to improve upon to improve the experience. Halo Infinite is off to an incredible start, which leads us into this next topic of the show, which is the big question now. You know, Halo Infinite, obviously there's been a lot of talk that Master Chief in this up-and-coming title was going to be kind of like an end to his story. Like he was going to pass the torch from, you know, from obviously himself, and he was going to pass the torch on to a new character who would hopefully move us in the direction of up and away with the Halo universe moving forward. But now, with this, I mean, added fuel and excitement around Halo, it really begs the question, is Halo Infinite now going to be the beginning of a new trilogy or a more like long withstanding? Obviously, Halo has been a withstanding franchise over time, but is Master Chief going to be that focal point for at least another few titles? And that is where it's going to get really interesting, guys. We don't have our hands quite on, you know, as far as from the campaign and those experiences. And obviously, they're probably going to have DLC that's going to come out and things of that nature. So it really begs that question. And I've got to say, guys, before Halo Infinite came out, I publicly said on the YouTube channel that I believed that Halo Infinite was going to be the end of Master Chief. They were bringing him back for one last hurrah, and he was going to ultimately, you know, pass the torch on to someone else or on to another character in this universe, or maybe this would just be the end of Halo and they would try to, you know, put all of their eggs in one basket, that being the Halo Infinite multiplayer experience that they would try to just kind of milk over the years, kind of like what CSGO has done. I mean, years upon years of that. League of Legends, the same sort of ordeal where they have just worked on, you know, and improved upon the game over time, but they've never come out with a League of Legends 2. They haven't come out with a CSGO 2. So could we see something like that here with Halo Infinite? And really, guys, I think that this massive amount of support for Halo, that Halo is now 100% back, it feels like. Obviously, we're going to have to wait for the full game. You know, obviously, we have to wait for DLC and things of that nature to see where they take the story and where everything goes. But I've got to tell you that now I am feeling pretty confident that they are going to continue this franchise for the foreseeable future. Why would they stop here? And I think that the biggest game changer of them all was free-to-play multiplayer. Look, guys, a full package obviously is huge. Having multiplayer experiences, co-op experiences, and single player, like a single player story, that's a full package, and that justifies a $60 price tag. But Halo, you know, kind of outdid themselves by giving us a free-to-play multiplayer, which we're seeing the landscape. Fortnite started it, and now we are where we are at this point. More and more free-to-play multiplayer experiences. I think it's so huge for Halo because an exclusive you know, title to Xbox being free to play really, I think, is going to help Xbox as a whole. It's going to obviously a lot of eyeballs now on the HCS, which of course is the Halo Championship Series. Players playing at the highest level of Halo. We've got so many, you know, there's so many narratives now. They're going to be going into the HCS. There's going to be a lot of people just playing the multiplayer just casually with their friends. Halo feels back, and now I do believe that we're moving in a direction where if they don't decide to just stick it out with Halo Infinite's multiplayer, they improve upon it, of course. But I think that they are going to greenlight, if they haven't already, I think they're probably going to greenlight a couple more titles in this universe. And who better to have than Master Chief kind of helming them from a story perspective. Now, we're going to have to wait and see what they all do here as far as, you know, the story and things of that nature. And Glassy, you know, you've seen Halo, you've seen, obviously you've played Infinite from a multiplayer perspective. You see kind of what's going on, at least in the early stages of Halo Infinite. What do you think about Halo Infinite being like just a standalone title that will kind of test, you know, be kind of that title that goes on for into the foreseeable future? Or do you think a Halo Infinite 2 is a possibility? A Halo Infinite 3 is a possibility? Where do you think this is going? Do you think it's going to be, they're going to take the approach of like CSGO, or are they going to take the approach of like a Call of Duty where they're trying to really bang out these titles pretty regularly?
So now that we know that 343 is creating all of the Halo titles and not Bungie anymore like they used to, it seems like 343 has really stayed in line with the way that Bungie was going with their titles. Infinite, I guess we're going to have to wait and see what the campaign looks like to see if it actually leaves us on a cliffhanger, if we're going to go anywhere or do anything with that. I'm curious as well to see if Master Chief is going to be in there, because according to Halo 5, Master Chief died, and according to the Office of Naval Intelligence, ONI, Master Chief died on planet Meridian October 27th in 2560, which, I mean, that's 500 years ahead of us, but in their game, in their world, that's when he died. It was the very end cutscene. He got killed by one of the Covenants. So I'm not sure if Master Chief is going to come back, or if he does, did he go into an armor lock just like in Halo 3 whenever he landed on the planet and he came out of it? So I'm curious to see if Master Chief's going to come back as well, but I feel like 343, it's a refresher. I've been playing Infinite probably every single day. I'm leveling up quick, but I'm not getting tired of it. So I definitely think that they're going to bring in a lot of revenue. As the free-to-play multiplayer, it was amazing. I love it. They're definitely going to make their money back on the in-game currency, though. I can tell you, I bought the Battle Pass the first day, and I'm already probably going to buy some skins as it keeps coming on, just because, I mean, you think in your mind, oh, look, the game is free. Then you spend money on the microtransactions. I think that's where they're going to get a lot of their money.
No, and I'm with you 100% on that. It's going to be really interesting, especially like you bringing up with Master Chief dying. It brings up some really interesting, narratives around this title. Like, where are we as far as like, from a time perspective? Like, did Master Chief somehow clone himself? I mean, there could be a million different ways that they could approach this. And obviously, it's going to, there's going to be a lot of critics around this, depending on which way they decide to go. It's going to be interesting, to say the least, and I'm really excited and intrigued to see where they go here. The HCS is off to a fantastic start. The multiplayer experience, I think, really, when you consider it early access and such, off to a phenomenal start. I mean, really, people are enjoying this game, this multiplayer experience, and that's huge. I mean, it's bringing people back over and over again, the skins, and I know there's been some talk about the battle pass and the grind to get certain things, and I totally understand that. Halo, though, I want to remind everyone that one of the last Halo titles that I put a lot of time into was Halo Reach. And man, dude, getting to Inheritor, I never got to Inheritor, but it was a grind. And that's what I loved about that, though, was it really showed just how much time you were putting into the game. I mean, I loved the helmet that you got when you would get to Inheritor. It just showed that you were like, just really grinding in a major way, harder than anyone else. It reminds me of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It was like everybody wanted the 10th Prestige medallion and everybody was grinding for it. Then there would be people, that's what really started all the modded lobbies, the hacked lobbies, because everybody wanted that 10th Prestige medallion that moved around. It was a very very simple thing, but everybody wanted it. It was a coveted item. And that's what I've said and preached on my YouTube channel, that they need to do more of. Have more earnable items than payable items. Have things that you can earn in the game and really grind. Those guys who put a ton of time into it, man, like, make it so that there's a lot of really cool things you get for putting in a massive amount of time. And I know that the battle pass and all that at this point in Halo Infinite is still evolving. They're trying to get it right and such. And it feels like a real grind right now, but it's Halo, guys. And Halo really has been, and just historically has been, a real grind to get certain items. And I think that's absolutely awesome. But the real question, though, is, guys, is what do you all think? Do you think we're going to get a new trilogy out of this from Halo Infinite's perspective? You're going to get a second Halo Infinite and then a third one? Or is this going to be the last of its kind? Where are we going here? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Halo Infinite content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. One of the titles that I've wondered for a while now, guys, is a title that I've wondered what would, happen if they would have continued a certain sub-series, that being Ghost Recon, guys. Ghost Recon, obviously, we got a title in the form of Breakpoint, which obviously came out a couple of years ago, back in 2019. But in particular, this series, or I should say this franchise, that being Ghost Recon, in a lot of ways I've felt was really beyond its time. And I'm not so much talking about the most recent of titles in the Ghost Recon universe, that being, of course, Breakpoint. I'm actually talking more about Future Soldier. Future Soldier, guys, was something really special to me back when this released in 2012. I remember coming out on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3. This was a title that was awesome, guys. I mean, I absolutely loved it for really all of, what it all encompassed, the story, the storylines. It really felt like a third-person Call of Duty title that was futuristic, obviously, that had a lot of really cool elements to it. But it was another title, and it's interesting to me because the other title that I feel was beyond its time was another Tom Clancy title, being Tom Clancy's End War. I felt like End War, guys, was without question one of those games that was definitely beyond its time, just based on being able to make commands. I mean, we're talking a real-time strategy game on Xbox, right? So, I mean, you have your headset and you're giving commands to your army and such as you're, progressing through and you're playing against other teams and such. And obviously there were a number of issues within that title, but it was so beyond its time, and we still have not seen a title like that to this day. And I really would have loved to see a continuation of End War, but Future Soldier is very similar to this. Why haven't we gotten a continuation of Future Soldier in the Ghost Recon, series? I think that it was definitely beyond its time. The Tom Clancy titles that they have decided to make, that being Ubisoft, we're talking about like The Division. One of the titles I've been talking a lot on the YouTube channel I want to see return is Splinter Cell. That's one that I've wanted to see so badly continue at some form or another. Ubisoft has kind of decided to take the approach, maybe instead of Ghost Recon, they're moving in more of a direction, maybe, Rainbow Six, and you got Rainbow Six, Extraction coming out. So there's, obviously they're still working on some pretty awesome titles. It's just, why did they stop with Future Soldier? And a lot of it, guys, we've talked about it many times. There's two big things that really can make or break titles. One of them being the reception, two being the sales. And look, Ghost Recon, Future Soldier, overall, when I see the reception of it, I mean, on Metacritic, on Xbox 360, got a 79 out of 100. On GameSpot, gave it a 7.5 out of 10. IGN gave it an 8.5 out of 10. So the reception for it was pretty good. It was definitely above average. Wasn't perfect by any stretch, but no game is. But it still was a pretty awesome, tactical shooter. And I really feel that they could have, if they brought this style back, the Future Soldier style back to Ghost Recon, I really feel that this could be something very special, like a different style of gameplay and such that we have not seen before in gaming, but also obviously since Future Soldier, or even in esports. This felt to me way back then, I said, man, this would be a really cool competitive title to play, but also to watch. And I believe that to this day. I feel that Future Soldier could be something very special in the esports realm, because you don't have very many third-person shooters that are esports titles. I mean, I thought that that would be something very intriguing and interesting. You obviously have titles out there like PUBG and things of that nature, but I just feel that Future Soldier could have been very special. I really hope that they bring it back at some point. Glassy, obviously this is Future Soldier. I mean, it's got a place in my heart, for sure, because I just thought that, from the E3 that they showed, the promotion for this game at E3 of 2010 to when it was released, I just thought, wow, this is like, it was like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like almost like during that same time, or even a little bit like before its time. And I just feel like it was so advanced. Are there games out there that you feel like they're beyond their time somewhat and actually hurt the title? Another one I'll give you an example of was Evolve. Evolve was a title that I felt like it was just beyond its time. It was Dead by Daylight before Dead by Daylight came out, and I feel like it just like had so many elements to it that were awesome, and obviously it was riddled with microtransactions and just problems that it lost its fan base so quickly. Not saying that's what happened here with Future Soldier, but what do you think about, like titles out there just in general? Like, are there a lot of titles that you feel like were beyond their time? Have you played Ghost Recon? And what do you think about them bringing back some of these classics at some point or another that may have been beyond their time?
I don't have a super whole lot of experience whenever it comes to Ghost Recon. I remember maybe the late Xbox, early through Xbox 360 days. My brother had the game and he was into that, and then I started kind of veering towards Call of Duty, and then he veered into Call of Duty. So it kind of makes me wonder if that's really one of the main reasons that game kind of started to go downhill, was the fact that their competition was stacking up against them pretty well. Call of Duty, especially in the Modern Warfare series, Call of Duty 4 and them, were really bringing in a large audience with their multiplayer, but also their great storytelling that they had. And now we've got Battlefield, which Battlefield kind of started off wonky, but they've since really built up an audience and built up a following that now Battlefield and Warzone, or Call of Duty in general, are just the big FPS shooters right now. You've got Rainbow Six and you've got everything else, but people are really focused on these two major titles, Battlefield and Call of Duty. Ghost Recon Future Soldier, it looks like back in 2011 in December, they PC version just canceled it. I guess they can't really cancel the disc whenever it comes to console version, but they canceled it, citing that piracy was one of the main reasons that they killed that game. And Ghost Recon Breakpoint apparently had a lot of known issues, which the updated March 5th of 2020, they had a long list of issues. Video memory crashing, the OPS Mark II standard helicopter missiles would stop locking on. They had so many issues, I'm guessing bugs in the coding, and either they didn't get them fixed, couldn't get them fixed, or there was not enough financial incentive to get them fixed, losing money to other titles.
Yeah. And look, all of the above, I think, is valid here, and it's really unfortunate. Well, Glassy, one of the things I wanted to ask you, do you think that there is a place where, not necessarily Ghost Recon, but, we've got the couple of titles that you brought up were Call of Duty and Battlefield, right? And they kind of like own the FPS. I mean, I guess you could say CS:GO and Valorant are all, very much so relevant as well. Sometimes even more relevant in certain capacities. But what about third person? So obviously Ghost Recon, Future Soldier being this idea of like this more third person centric style game. Do you think that there is an audience for something of that nature in the third person, shooter genre?
So there's always going to be an audience for something, whether it be a large audience or a small audience. So as for third person shooters, yes, there's going to be an audience for it, but with the way that games are coming out today and the cost to making them, whether they be millions, tens, or hundreds of millions of dollars to creating games, I don't think that they're going to see an ROI, which is return on investment. I don't think that they're really going to see that with a small group of people that love third-person shooters. A lot of people are aiming more towards first-person. If they start creating a first-person shooter, they might build up a bigger audience or give you the option to do third or first-person. That would definitely build your audiences up. But a lot of people are aiming towards first-person shooters just because of the immersion. You feel like you're in the game versus, oh, I'm looking at a game, I'm playing a game, versus I feel like I'm in the game.
Well, it's a big question, guys, and there's a lot of, obviously with Ubisoft, I mean, they've had their issues over time, as with every studio with certain things. There's been issues with Ghost Recon. There's been issues, obviously, with games like Assassin's Creed that are massive, in scope and scale. The big question, though, is, guys, what do you think? Do you think that the third-person, shooter genre is going to kind of come back around in a major way at some point or another? Do you think it's going to be more FPS just moving forward? What do you guys think happened to Future Soldier that really met its demise? Do you think we're going to get another Ghost Recon at some point or another in the future? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Ghost Recon content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We talked earlier in the show about a Rockstar title coming to us, obviously GTA and GTA 6 in particular. But another title, guys, that I want to talk about, and I've talked about on the YouTube channel, you guys can check out all of my LA Noire content here on the YouTube channel. But LA Noire 2, the possibilities of it, what it could look like. This was a title I was very skeptical about. And I thought to myself, man, I'm probably not going to be a fan of this kind of style. I didn't think I was going to really like it. And then while I was playing it, there was a certain level of that I was very intrigued by as I started this story in LA Noire. And from a graphical perspective, wow, it was unbelievable. Could not believe, from the graphics perspective, the main character in LA Noire, the actor who, of course, did, the voiceover and all the footage and such. He was one of the characters in Mad Men. And I absolutely loved his way and the way he's portraying his character. I thought the acting and voice acting across the board was very well done, guys, in LA Noire. And so it leads us to LA Noire 2. And why I believe that this is a title that should exist. I think, guys, that this is a title that definitely needs to happen, for sure, because, we look at Rockstar and what they're doing, and one of the things, that we give a lot of credit to Rockstar for is they take their time with their games, they don't rush them, they don't really bend or break to the ongoing pressure from shareholders to push games out quickly. We saw issues, we've seen it many times, guys, most recently, obviously, coming in the form of Cyberpunk 2077 from CD Projekt Red, having a lot of pressure coming to them from none other than their shareholders. They bring the game out, and what happens? A game that had so much promise, that had so much hype built up, that the shareholders just felt like, we got to capture this right here, right now, release a game that's not ready. And massive problems. So I give huge props. When I say huge props, guys, massive props to Rockstar for taking their time with games. That being said, could LA Noire be, or I should say LA Noire 2, be one of those titles that they're working on at some point or another? I do believe that they should. Now, I've said on the YouTube channel, guys, I feel that GTA 6 is definitely what they're working on right now. Are they working on a Red Dead Redemption 3? I feel like they may be in the very early stages of talking about it. I've said, okay, let's just say GTA 6 is being made. What other games out there could Rockstar be working on? They could be working on a whole new IP altogether. That's a possibility. Bully 2, obviously a lot of people have wanted that, and it's been, a lot of times it's been deemed dead. A lot of times Rockstar is, it seems like there's been leaks and such that come out saying, look, we're not working on Bully 2. So if that's not being worked on, that leaves us with a couple other IPs. I've said that I would love to see a Max Payne 4. I think Max Payne 4 would be absolutely incredible. I love Bullet Time. There's a lot of things I love about that. The other one would, of course, be LA Noire 2 or Manhunt. And I just don't know if Manhunt would do very well in the current climate and the way that, obviously, we, back in the day when they brought Manhunt out, wow, what a polarizing title. Bully was pretty polarizing as well, and that's why I kind of felt like it was maybe not a good idea to release Bully 2 just because of the nature of where we are as a society. I just didn't know, even though Rockstar does not shy away ever from things that are very polarizing, or I guess you could consider edgy content. They have not shied away from that at all, ever. But I think Manhunt and Bully 2, they very well may say, put those couple to the wayside. So it leaves us with a couple other titles outside of a brand new IP. Max Payne 4 and LA Noire 2. I want both of them to be made. I would love to see a Max Payne 4, a continuation of his story moving forward. I would love to see LA Noire 2 be made. Now, where could they go with this story? I think there's a number of different ways in which they could continue it, or they could do kind of like what they do with GTA, where they go into different time periods, all new characters, things of that nature. Now, obviously, we're talking LA here, so they got to kind of stay in that general vicinity unless they change it to, Chicago Noir or something of that nature. But I think if you kept it as LA Noire 2, I feel that they could do a different time period, or maybe they could continue or do a prequel or something of that nature. I just feel, though, guys, that this world that they created here, I want to explore it more. I want to solve more cases. I want to, every decision, every step of the journey that I make is going to essentially create a different outcome. I want that again. I definitely want that again, but I want it expanded upon in a major way. I think it would be, I think that there's so many different ideas, guys, that they could probably throw out there. And sure, LA Noire was, not like one of their best-selling games of all time. I mean, we all know that GTA and Red Dead are their biggest franchises that they have. But I think LA Noire 2 has mad potential. They could do all kinds of things, and I would love to see this expanded upon. Glassy, I know you love the Rockstar games, overall as a whole. LA Noire 2, is this something that you would love to see a continuation of, and where do you think they could potentially go with it?
So I played LA Noire, I can't even tell you how many times, and I still never got to a point where I could perfectly depict their faces, even though they use exquisite motion capture. But the thing is, back in May, this game already turned 10 years old. I feel like if they were going to try to push it, they probably would have pushed it within the decade. So as of May of this year, right now, it's about 10.5-year-old game. And I would like to see them make another one. The only thing that I think they might have trouble with is with this game, a lot of those murder cases were based on true stories. They were based on real cases, especially, trying to figure out the Black Dahlia murder. So we don't have a whole lot of serial killers, especially, creepy ones that are good in today's day and age. So pulling stories out of that might be a little bit more difficult. But if they try to do it as a modern day one, if they go back in time to, I don't know, maybe Jack the Ripper days, and if we put like a London noir, that would be amazing. First of all, you're in a completely different country, whole different setting, and you're doing a whole new story mode, just taking off from a new perspective. So that would be good. If they were to do that, it wouldn't be LA. I don't think that they could hit LA again. They smacked that one pretty good. And it's one of the biggest stars said that he's never heard a word about the sequel happening. So as you were saying, the main character, maybe they're just not told about it, but I don't think that there's going to be an LA Noire 2. If I were to see something, I would hope it would be somewhere else and still based on true stories to make it more real.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I feel like, there is that level of realism to LA Noire, which was really special. And I agree. I think doing a different location, I mean, it's definitely not something that Rockstar shies away from either. They love going to different areas and capturing, different moments in time and things of that nature. It's definitely very interesting, guys. I would love to see it. Glassy, if they didn't do an LA Noire 2 or like a Chicago Noir or a, London Noir, what would be the next thing that you would want? Would you want to see a Bully 2, Max Payne 4, Manhunt, or would you want to see a whole new IP altogether from Rockstar?
So I wasn't too much of a super big fan of Bully, but as for Max Payne, I mean, I remember grinding that game continuously. If anything, they would have to do a complete whole new Max Payne trilogy, because as we know, all good things come in threes. So Max Payne 1, 2, and 3. If they pushed a Max Payne 4, they could either not call it Max Payne 4, call it Max Payne, and then have the main title of the game directly under it. Or if they were to do it, they'd have to figure out a way to turn it into a good trilogy, because they could capitalize on that.
Yeah. And I love Max Payne. I think it's awesome. I think it would be really cool to see, if they did a Max Payne 4, or they did like, a Max Payne prequel kind of to like what the first game, or, before he became a detective, like just kind of getting, a lot of that backstory there, or, there's a number of ways that they could go with it. And I would love to see them, tackle a continuation of Max Payne in some capacity or another. I'd be okay with that for sure. I'd be okay with them continuing with the story of or a possibility of doing something in the noir genre, but doing it somewhere else. I would be really open to a number of those ideas from Rockstar. But the question though is, guys, would you guys want to see an LA Noire 2? Would you want to see something, from that universe, but in a different, timepiece, a different time period, somewhere else across the country or across the globe? What would you guys want to see? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Rockstar Games content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Resident Evil, guys, is one of those franchises that, look, it's definitely a series I absolutely love, okay? Like, obviously, if you guys are accustomed to my YouTube channel, I'm a massive fan of horror games, horror movies, I obviously action, all of those things I love. Resident Evil plays a special, has a real special place in my heart. From really when I got into Resident Evil was actually when we got to Resident Evil 5, I really, really liked Resident Evil 5. I liked the style of it. I loved, how it just felt different. It was like a different style from the other Resident Evil titles. And a lot of people like, some of the earlier Resident Evil games, and I do as well. But I really got into it with Resident Evil 5. I just really liked the creativity amongst, all the different enemies that you were going up against. I liked the voice acting. All of those things were really cool to me. Resident Evil 6, to me at least, was kind of a step in the wrong direction. I didn't like this concept of having to almost replay the same missions over and over again, so I wasn't a massive fan of 6, but when we got to 7, I was absolutely floored. I was an unnerving experience, unlike anything I've ever experienced in gaming, guys. I absolutely loved Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, one of my favorite horror games of all time. I would recommend it to anyone who is a massive horror fan. It was incredible, right? I put it up there with the early Dead Space titles, and just unbelievable. Absolutely loved it. If you're looking for a sheer, unnerving, just terrifying experience at different points in time with a really rich story, Resident Evil 7's for you. But that leads us to Resident Evil Village, which was, a very interesting title to say the least. I was very excited about this title. And I gotta tell you, love this title overall. I think it's awesome. Little, obviously different, it kind of took a little bit, to me what I liked about it was it took things from my two previous favorite Resident Evil titles. It took some things from Resident Evil 5 in the form of some action and things of that nature, and then it took some of 7 in the form of the terror and that, the nightmare element of that story, and kind of put it into one. And I loved, obviously, some of the villains in Resident Evil Village. I loved some of the set pieces and just the locations and all of that stuff. Very intriguing to me. But the question, though, lies in where are we moving? What's the direction we're going in now? Are we going to get, are they going to continue Resident Evil Village, or are they going to go into a totally separate direction? Where is this going? And that's the major question, guys, because it's a question that I've been actually asking myself for quite some time since I finished Village. I've been wondering, okay, where are they going with this? Because obviously there's been, some folks, didn't like, Village nearly as much as 7. And I got to say, it's one of those games, and this doesn't happen to me much, guys. I have to play Village again. I have to play it again to really give a full synopsis on whether or not I feel in comparison to some of these previous titles in the Resident Evil universe, 7 was just awesome to me. Like I absolutely loved 7 so much that it's really tough for me to say Village was way better or was on the same level or was worse. It's just hard to me. It's one of those times I got to play again, and that's just my personal opinion. I know everyone's got their own opinion about Village and what they think about it, and then of course the online element. Now obviously Village is its own thing. We've got like obviously Resident Evil comes out with some online modes, which I think was really, I think that was a really cool ordeal as well, having its own online kind of ordeal, reverse, and, so on and so forth. So I think they're really expanding upon the legacy of Resident Evil, the lore of Resident Evil as a whole. And now, of course, with the Welcome to Raccoon City, the movie, they're continuing this legacy and lore into the future. So what does this leave me with? What I will say is, they are definitely not done making Resident Evil titles. They are not done, I don't believe, whatsoever. Resident Evil overall got pretty good, decent reception, sold a lot. I mean, it's Resident Evil, so obviously it did pretty well. And I think a lot of people were really holding on to hope that it was going to be more like Resident Evil 7 than it was. I'm okay with them trying different things though in this universe. It doesn't always have to be the exact same kind of thing as was 7. 7 was very special for what it was. Village was special to me for what it was, and Resident Evil 5 was really special for what it was. I'm just glad that it wasn't, in my opinion, a step in the wrong direction like Resident Evil 6 was. But I'm going to bring Glassy into this. Glassy, as far as Resident Evil goes, when when we look at Village and the overall, what they're doing here with Village and the multiplayer experiences and all of those things, did you like Village more than 7? Did you like it more than 6? Like, where do you kind of put it on your, when you look at, like, say your top 5 or your top 3 favorites of all time when it comes to Resident Evil series, and where do you think they're going to be going in the future? Would you rather say when they make the next Resident Evil title, do you want them to go in the direction of kind of continuing off of Village or going back to what they did with Resident Evil 7? What do you think about all this?
So when it comes in terms of which one was favorite, Resident Evil 7, I cannot explain how much I can still play this game to this day, as many times as I played it, and I will still get this unnerving, uneasy, I'm going to throw my headphones on the floor and run out of the room experience that I get from that game. That hit perfection on horror games as far as I can see. So that's definitely my opinion, but it slaps for me. I think that, so with Resident Evil 7, they kind of had it as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You see that kind of vibe going on. But with Village, they're kind of headed towards lichens and vampires and this kind of Frankenstein-esque situation, and you find out that most of that is just created by the mold itself, which was by Redfield for the Umbrella Corporation anyway. Like Agatha, she was a mold creation. She was never an actual human. They're definitely going to make a Resident Evil 9, and Resident Evil 9 is in the works. According to Aesthetic Gamer, also known as Q Golem, he's a leaker that has a solid track of information that goes towards Resident Evil games as well. And apparently this series for Resident Evil 9 has been in development since 2018. And so the game will potentially come out in 2024, 2025, maybe. I don't know, it could come out sooner. But it'll have about 6 to 7 years worth of development into the game. If you've noticed, each one of these games progressively adds more detail. Unreal Engine 4 is just getting better and better, and by that time they might be using Unreal Engine 5. I don't know, unless a new different engine comes out. But I think that Resident Evil 9 will be a continuation of Village. I don't think that they're going to go back towards the Resident Evil 7 type look and feel. I think it's going to be a continuation of Village, but on steroids. I don't think Village was as scary as 7. Wait, what? Yeah. But I think that Resident Evil 9 will encompass all of that together and be the perfect amount of scary with the perfect amount of storytelling.
Do you think that Village was, like, I guess obviously you loved 7 probably just as much as I did, and I know a lot of other people loved 7 as well for what it was. There were people who didn't like it because it was too scary for them, or it was just not, for them. But with Village, like, where do you put it? Like, obviously, I have 7 as my favorite Resident Evil of all time. Where do you put Village, though? Do you put it at, your top three? Do you think it was, really, good in that perspective? Or do you think it's maybe in your top five?
I'd say it's probably number 2 because of the storytelling. So Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village, and I think Resident Evil 2, whichever one they remade, that's definitely going to be the ending of the top 3 because of the storytelling experience. So it's not necessarily, for me, I like to take a multi approach to the situation. Like, I love the storytelling, I love the visuals, I love the scariness. Hell, if you've gone through my channel is filled with horror games that are, little indie games, but I have a lot of horror games, and I'm working on a horror game right now. But the storytelling, I want to feel immersed in the game. I want to feel what's going on. I want to wonder, oh man, what's going to happen next? Or what do I have to do? How do I beat this? Or how do I go about this? It makes you think. And I think that is definitely, that would be my top 3, especially 7, 8, and then probably 2.
And 2 is really good as well. I like that one a lot. I wouldn't put in my top 3. I would have to say you go 7, then you go Village, and then, of course, Resident Evil 5 for me. And then I would say 2 would be right under that. But, okay, here's another question. This could be interesting. Have you seen any episodes or have you watched American Horror Story at all?
I think I'm only in the 2nd or 3rd series, but you know what? Now that you mention that, I'm kind of getting that vibe.
And this is where I'm going. This is where you see where I'm going here. So
yeah,
because it's something. Okay, so American Horror Story. Obviously, every single season is a little bit different. Like you got, the first one, which was the monster house and the devil inside the house, and then and they kind of evolved to witches, to vampires, to all these different types of styles. And I'm getting this. I'm starting to wonder as time is going on in the Resident Evil universe, are they doing something similar? I'm not, guys, don't look too deep into this. I'm not saying that I feel that Resident Evil is in the American Horror Story universe. I'm not going there. But what I'm saying is could we be seeing in the Resident Evil universe, they're starting to pull different things into each, game because the mold, could it be something that is evolving with time and it's creating all kinds of different stuff, all kinds of different problems that we don't even know about yet, that we're going to find out some point or another. So it's an interesting idea, and that was one thing that came to my mind really once we got 7 and then we get to Village. It was one of the first things that came to my mind after playing Village was, wow, are they going to be going in this kind of direction? It reminded me a little bit of American Horror Story. And so very interesting. I really what I want is I loved Village for what it is. I would love to see them, have a continuation. But I think what's awesome is and what I think they really should do is keep on bringing on the creativity. Bring it on. I want to see them continue being creative. Glassy, you were talking about the story, just like how it was so rich with like the story and just the characters and all of that. Like, continue that. It's absolutely awesome. Expand upon, obviously the multiplayer experience. I would love to see them really add more to that. There's a lot that I think, guys, that makes Resident Evil a very captivating and really exciting franchise for the foreseeable future. But what do you guys think? Where do you think they're going here with the Resident Evil universe? Let us know in the comment section down below. And if you're looking for more Resident Evil Village content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked a ton, guys, about the Gears of War franchise here on the YouTube channel. The big 3 to me, like one of my top 3 favorite games of all time, guys. We always talk about it. Number 1 being COD, Gears, and StarCraft. 3 games I absolutely admire in a major way, just from an innovation perspective, from the perspective of storylines, narrative, just so much rich history around the Gears of War franchise. That being said, though, the question we're going to be asking in this segment of the show is, and I've stated this multiple times on the YouTube channel, guys, this is before Halo Infinite even announced a free-to-play multiplayer. My question was, should Gears of War in the future, so Gears 6 in particular, have a free-to-play multiplayer? And I've said for a long time, guys, that Gears of War was more of a niche game. It was kind of like a niche, community and such, A lot of us in this community, we love Gears of War for what it is, but it never got that blow up that a lot of people thought it would. Number one, obviously, what holds it back? Well, number one is that it is specifically an exclusive to Xbox, so that hurts it, obviously. But number two is not only that, you're paying $60 for the game when it comes out, and number three is it is a third-person shooter that is very gory, very mature, without question. And so there's certainly a level of a mature audience. Obviously, Call of Duty's mature. Obviously, some of these other titles are mature ratings, but they're not quite on the level of Gears of War where you're blowing limbs off and things of that nature. That being said, Gears of War, in particular Gears 6, should have a free-to-play multiplayer, and it shouldn't even be a question by the Coalition and Xbox at this point in time. Number one is Halo Infinite is blowing up, guys, in ways we've never seen Halo blow up previously, based on a free-to-play early access multiplayer that was released, obviously, by 343 and Xbox. So we see this, another Xbox exclusive, is absolutely doing phenomenal. Now, would Gears of War or Gears 6, would it blow up like this? Probably not, guys. Let's be realistic about it. Halo has a very rich history, and it's more, on the light side. It's not quite as, it's not gory per se. It's a little bit more lighthearted than that of Gears of War, a dark, gritty story, dark, gritty multiplayer experience. Very similar in styles, and this is why I love watching Halo esports and Gears of War esports, is everybody starts with the same weapons. There's power weapons on the map, and you go get those power weapons, and you strategize as a team. You have wall bouncing in Gears with Halo. You've got, all kinds of different elements to that, and this is, in my opinion, two of the best shooters that Xbox has to offer all time. Now, Halo obviously has, already done this, and they kind of laid a foundation. So should the Coalition Xbox follow suit? I absolutely think they should, guys, with Gears 6. I think this would really help Gears of War. It would help Xbox as well, even more. Halo's helping Xbox, but Gears is going to help Xbox as well continue that by having a free-to-play multiplayer. And I don't even think it's close, guys. I think that Gears of War could really, it could do very well by having a free-to-play multiplayer, and at the end of the day, it would bring a lot of people in to at least try the multiplayer experience, because a lot of people probably haven't even given it a try because it's Xbox exclusive, it's this, and this, $60, I'll pay for something else instead of that. But free to play, you're going to have all the big streamers, you're, at least for a period of time, trying it out. You're going to have all the big YouTubers, at least if they're playing it live or whatever the case may be, they're going to give it a try and give their, obviously their thoughts on the title. And what it's going to do is going to build an audience, and it's going to build a good amount of people at least playing the game, and that should really lead us into the future of Gears of War, because we see right now Gears 5, Gears of War 4, and all the titles, if you go on Twitch, the viewership is abysmal. It's not very good whatsoever, but free-to-play multiplayer for Gears, I think you would see those numbers climb in a drastic way. Not saying it would be quite Halo or any of that, but I think this would it would help the whole ecosystem of Gears. It would help the Gears of War just from a player perspective. It would help the esports scene. It would help the campaign. It would help the Coalition continue that legacy and lore moving forward, keep the creative juices flowing. I just think that there is nothing about it that screams to me up issue, because we see Halo and you would just have microtransactions. It justifies the microtransactions because it's free to play. Glassy, you've played Gears. What are your thoughts on, more and more games at least making the multiplayer experience free to play, especially games that are exclusive to a specific console?
So back in the day, especially Xbox 360 and the Xbox One series, Gears was a big thing in the Microsoft community. Whenever it came to Microsoft top tier games, it was Gears and it was Halo. Those two games together, they would have skins for the Xboxes, Xbox exclusives, or you can get a Halo Xbox, or you can get a Gears Xbox. In fact, I had one of those Gears 360s myself. I even have some cog wheels from the Coalition that I got, I guess, from either EB Games or GameStop in the day whenever you racked up enough points. So I was big into the game. If they create a multiplayer that is free to play and you can change up your skins, because obviously look at the characters. You can add on skins, you can add on chest plates, shoulder plates, leg plates, you can customize your guns, your looks, anything. They have the opportunity and they have the foundation, and obviously they have the fan base. So if they made a free to play multiplayer, I think they'd kill it. I think they'd honestly revamp the Gears series. And if they did that with Gears 6, which I feel is going to happen because everything, like I said, everything comes in threes. So you have a 1, 2, and 3. And not only that, they had a massive cliffhanger on Gears 5. It makes us want to play more. But if they wait too long in between, the fire starts to dwindle out and you've got nothing but some embers. But I think if they make a free-to-play multiplayer before creating the next Gears series, I think they'll kill it and I think they'll do a great job.
Yeah, same. I do. I think that it's on the cusp, and Gears has been on the cusp of greatness for a while. I mean, it certainly, took me by storm when I got the original Xbox 360. The game that came with my 360 was Gears of War, and ever since then, man, it's been one of my favorites of all time. I absolutely love it. I've been captivated by it. I love that they've continued it over the years. I just feel that there are things that obviously have kind of held it back compared to other shooters out there. And I think, like you were saying about the skins and just, I mean, when you have your Lancer and the shotgun and you have all these really cool, like they have some of the best skins out there for like a third person title, and it's not even close. Like the things that you can as you're leveling up and such, when going through re-ups and things of that nature, having different skins and different characters, all of that stuff is so awesome in Gears of War, and they're going to continue expanding upon that. I think it could really hit off in a major way if they made it free to play and they kind of put the same amount of marketing and things of that nature that they did into Halo Infinite. I would love to see it. It could be the two big juggernauts of Xbox once again. PlayStation does not have that, by the way, guys. They don't have titles that are like that are really like, they have titles that are like God of War, The Last of Us, which are awesome, don't get me wrong, but they're single player experiences. We're still waiting for The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer. God of War, I mean, you play it one time or two times and you move on to other games. So it's a lot of times Sony is focused more on the single player experiences, which they're doing very well at, by the way. But Xbox is focused and has IPs that have incredible multiplayer experiences. So you got to do your due diligence and do what you have to do in order to continue expanding these franchises for the foreseeable future. But the question is, guys, I'm going to point it all to you. What do you guys all think? Should Gears 6 have a free-to-play multiplayer similar to that of Halo Infinite? Or should they decide to make it, once again, a $60 price tag? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Red Dead Redemption 2, guys, was, just an incredible story in a multitude of different ways. I've talked on the YouTube channel about Red Dead. I've talked about a lot of Rockstar titles, guys, on this YouTube channel. Past, present, future, what we could see. We talk a lot of times on this YouTube channel about the future of games, guys, which if you're accustomed to the YouTube channel. Red Dead is no different. We're going to talk in this last segment of the show about Red Dead Redemption 3 and just Red Dead as a whole right now. Where could the story go here? So, number one, obviously, from a story perspective, and we're going to talk a little bit about the story, guys, but I also really want to talk about, is Red Dead like Rockstar's new favorite franchise, or I guess you could say sub-series or series that they own as far as from an IP perspective? Look, Red Dead, 2 was, in my opinion, unbelievable from a story perspective. For me, it took a little while to get going, and when it did, it got going. I could not put the controller down to stop playing the game. It was that kind of experience for me. Now, Red Dead Online is a totally different thing for me. I think it's awesome. For people who love Red Dead, it's incredible that they have a place to go that is not the campaign, to continue playing the campaign over and over again. Obviously, a lot of people would have moved on to other games, if they just had a campaign. But they have this Red Dead Online, which I think is great. I'm not a big fan of it, guys, and maybe because I'm not very good at it. Maybe it's one of those titles in the from a multiplayer experience I'm not very good at. I'm very competitive. I want to be competitive, whatever game it is, whatever sport I'm playing. I want to be competitive. So if it's a game I'm not good at, and even if I put time into it, I'm still not that good, I stay away from it. But I respect it. I'm very happy for the entire Red Dead community for having Red Dead Online. This leads us to Rockstar. Is Rockstar essentially all in on Red Dead? Now, there's been rumors, speculation that Red Dead Redemption 3 is what's being worked on right now. Not GTA 6, but Red Dead Redemption 3. I highly doubt that this is the case, guys. I do believe that Rockstar loves Red Dead. I think when we look at, it's like, 1A, 1B, man. If you consider Batman to be GTA, you got to say Robin is definitely Red Dead in the eyes of Rockstar. And to me, it's like 1A, 1B, really. I mean, I don't believe that Red Dead is on a higher echelon than GTA because from a business perspective, I mean, Rockstar, they look at the numbers, and Red Dead did incredible. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing numbers. I never thought I would see the numbers I saw from Red Dead when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. But GTA 5 is on an entire different stratosphere. Like, it's unbelievable what GTA and what Rockstar has done there and continue to do with GTA Online. So that answers that question. In my opinion, and sure, guys, all of this is subjective, right? What I think is awesome and what I think is good, Glassy may think is, not good at all. And things that he thinks are really good, I may not think are very good whatsoever. And the same thing with all of you guys out there. It's all subjective. Gaming is subjective. That's what's awesome about us being human. We're able to have our own opinions and thoughts, and we share those, whether it's through social media or wherever it may be. But to me, I don't believe that Red Dead is on a higher, echelon than that of GTA in the eyes of Rockstar. So where could they go here? And full disclosure, like for me at least, I don't believe that that they're working on Red Dead 3 out over that of GTA 6. So there's that. Where could they go with the story, guys? It's so hard. It would be total speculation on where they could go. Could they follow up what they did with the second one? Absolutely. I mean, they could. I mean, there's a number of ways you could do it. You could obviously introduce new characters and so on and so forth. Could you do more like, a prequel, like another, could you do other prequels? Could you do like other side stories, things of that nature? I think there's a lot of options there. And I would love to see them, do maybe a different, the same kind of time period, but somewhere else, kind of like what we see with GTA quite a bit. Rockstar is very, obviously notorious for doing this. It's very interesting, obviously. But I'm going to bring Glassy into this. Glassy, what do you think as far as, when Rockstar's looking, if you're Rockstar and you're looking at, okay, we've got these two incredible IPs. Actually, we have multiple incredible IPs, but let's just say Red Dead and GTA. Which one are you going to put over top of the other? I mean, we can talk about a business perspective. We can talk about it from a player perspective, from a fan base perspective. But you're Rockstar. What are you putting on top of the other? Or are they pretty much equal at this point?
So I know that both of these titles are huge. They're Rockstar's, they're love children. And you got, Rockstar has two arms, one arm for GTA, one arm for Rockstar. So I think that's exactly what's going on now, is that they have separate divisions globally. Rockstar is a global company. So I have a feeling they've got an entire team dedicated to GTA. They've got an entire team dedicated to Rockstar. They're probably shuttling a little bit more money to GTA because GTA's microtransactions are definitely bringing them more income than Red Dead. The thing is, what separates the two games, and I'm going to agree with you here, Red Dead's online mode is nowhere near up to par with GTA Online. And I think that Red Dead's story mode overtakes GTA's story. Whenever Arthur Morgan died or John Marston died, I felt it. I got into it. I'm not even going to lie. I shed a single tear when Arthur Morgan died. And this is I'm an honest person, so that's the truth. But I felt for the game, and I felt like I was part of the gang. I felt like I actually made contributing factors to what I did, and that's one thing that Red Dead also did is they gave you the option to choose. Do you want to have high honor? Do you want to have low honor? Do you want to be an average guy? So those are where those two games really made this stuff. So GTA Online is continuously shuttling in money. Red Dead, you pay for the story one time, and that's kind of it. So if I were to think what's going on with money, I think they're going to put a little bit more money towards the GTA series. But it almost at this point seems like they're remastering games as opposed to just creating a whole new one, because it's cheaper to microwave old food than it is to go back out for dinner.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I have to, I have to agree overall with what you're saying. I mean, the story, I've actually, guys, and this, this has obviously been on my YouTube channel. I've said that I've actually been relatively critical of GTA 5 story, even though I thought it was good. There's been things I've been critical of, and I've actually compared it a lot to other games like from Take-Two, like Mafia. I love the Mafia series. I actually like Mafia's campaign more than some of these GTA titles that have come out. Now, from the multiplayer perspective, obviously, it's very hard to beat GTA Online. It's incredible, and Mafia doesn't have that. But Red Dead, the multiplayer experience, I'm not a huge fan of. Maybe I'm not good at it, but I do think that it's more fluid. It feels better in GTA Online. But from a story perspective, Red Dead was unbelievable. It was unmatched when it came to that, from the detail and just the graphics. I mean, everything. It was phenomenal. That being said, though, guys, the real question really comes into, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Red Dead has overtaken that of Grand Theft Auto on that echelon, those tiers, you could say, for Rockstar? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Red Dead content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. That being said, though, I want to thank Glassy for coming onto the show. It was absolutely awesome. Let me know what you guys thought about Glassy. Would you guys like to see him come back for future episodes of the 8 Below Show? Glassy, where can everybody that's watching this episode of the show, where can they find you?
So if you want to come try to find me, I have my own channel. We're part of the Glassy Games is what we call it. And if you want to be part of the Glassy gang, all you have to do is click that little subscribe button. It's really easy. Sometimes it just changes colors when you click it. So you click that, you automatically become part of the Glassy gang. You become part of my family and one of my best friends. So you're going to find that channel link in the description down below. Hey, you'll see me playing some video games. You never know. We might play Resident Evil 7. We might play some Red Dead, some GTA, and we'll discuss whether the next version of those games are going to be coming out. Hope to see you there.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, all of Glassy's information, all the links are going to be in the description down below. Go check him out. He does some awesome content, guys. Thanks again, Glassy, for coming on. I really do appreciate it, man. I'm sure it will not be the last time. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Stay positive. And as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.